complained about the black screen the last time we talked to you. Now you're stuck with us.
That's okay. It's much better. I was just standing here like, I felt like Ricky Bobby, like I don't know what to do with my hands. Well, I was just talking to a black, that's what I was talking to right there, that black thing. I was like, hi guys, I guess you're here somewhere, so this is better.
Kirk De'Vondre kind of just settled into this thing here.
He's a pro. He's a guy that's been, that has his own system of learning, and he's trying to learn everything that we ask him to do. But he's settled in well. He's a guy that knows how to play the game. Has played a lot of football, and it shows.
Not a knock on any of the other guys you've had here in the past, but is he different than what you've had here? Does he do different things than maybe you've had at that position?
Well, he's like I said, he's a guy that's played a lot of football, and he's been in a couple different systems that have given him some versatility, and obviously just his features. I mean, he's a tall person, and that part of it, that part is a little bit different, just his dimensions.
How does that change, like, how you can use him, Kirk? I mean, there aren't that many 6'4" inside linebackers out there that just the dimensions, like you say, how does that change what you can do with him?
Yeah, we're excited. There's a couple different things that he's good at. It's mostly just about fitting in what guys are good at, and he's good at some stuff just because of how tall he is, and he works at it, and he has some football IQ with him too. So.
Kirk, last year, Chris comes in kind of unsure of his role as an undrafted guy. How have you seen him kind of embrace that more prominent role coming into this preseason?
I think Chris is a guy that it doesn't really change. His approach doesn't really change. He's always going to be harder on himself than I can ever be on him, and I think he's trying to make sure that he gets himself correct and gets himself right before he takes on any kind of a more prominent role, and that's where he's at. He's very focused on trying to get himself correct right now.
Is he a step faster this year than last, you think, just from a recognition and experience standpoint?
I mean, that was one of his strong suits, was that he recognized stuff and could go and get things. I think that part of it's kind of a wash right now.
Kirk, Rob just asked you about Campbell being different, but Chris comes in undrafted without an off season, gets COVID, breaks his thumb, gets cut at the end of training camp, and now here he is potentially calling your defense for you guys. Is there something different about him other than being hard on himself that you really like about a guy who kind of fell through the cracks up until before now?
Well, I think, there's probably a class of guys, maybe the last 2 years, that they didn't get the full evaluation, from Goody, and the guys just couldn't do it. You couldn't get out there, and that's league-wide, not just in our organization. And I think that there's probably going to be a couple more of those stories, especially with the last two classes. I would say that, there's some guys that just weren't able to, either by not having full seasons, a couple guys, or not having, the benefit of having off seasons and realizing those things. I think that that plays a big part in really doing a real evaluation on all these guys when they come in, especially the younger ones that you do have to find out about a little bit more.
What happened to Kamal? And I'm not talking about the injury-wise, but here's a guy who would have been a week one starter last year, ended up starting some games anyway. Mm-hmm. Then he was running with threes and playing outside linebacker before he got hurt.
No, it's more of a versatility thing. You only get so many helmets on a game day, and the more you can do heading into into a season is a good thing. So we're just trying to see how versatile we can make our team.
But he was behind OB and Ty. I mean, that's
well,
a ball from a guy who was.
We were kind of shuffling all those guys all the way through. I know that they're. I think you guys pay more attention to that than I do, but it's more about reps at this point rather than when they get them. It's more about giving them the even amount of reps, and that's just kind of how it was falling.
Hey, Kirk, we're still getting kind of used to Joe and his coaching style and everything like that. We heard the stories about him doing the tackling on air in the meeting room. You can kind of see him jumping out there. Is that the same Joe Barry you remember from Washington? And what does that do as far as his energy and the defense?
Yeah, I mean, Joe's first of all, he's a positive guy, very good football coach. Is a guy that you know brings his own source of energy. Everybody does it their own way, and you know that's Joe's way. And yes, you know he hasn't changed. Now, when I say he hasn't changed who he is. But obviously, we all grow, you know, year in and year out.
Anything else in the room? All right, I believe we have one on Zoom, Coach.
Oh,
Sarah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yep, just one, Steve McGarty.
Hey.
Hello, I was just wondering, going back to Chris, when did y'all start to realize last year just what you had in him, that he wasn't just maybe a typical undrafted free agent, he was somebody who could really contribute for you right away? Was there a moment, was there some, just talent she can kind of make an impression on you guys?
I think there was not a wow moment. I think we're not, at least I'm not in the business of wow moments. It's a consistency that needs to happen, you know, kind of year in or day in and day out, and it goes, when you can put a bunch of days together that are pretty good, then you start believing what you're seeing, because anybody can luck into something one day, 2 days, or maybe you don't have enough exposures. But you know, it's always a slow process with those kinds of things, and there was no real one wow moment of, hey, this is going to be something good. You know, every day you have to come in and you have to perform, and I mean, even now, everybody has to perform day in and day out and gain trust day in and day out, because every year is a new year.